Here we go, another moist critical bout of heroism. And let me start off by saying I actually love Moist Critical and I love all of his content. I think that he usually gets things right. I don't even think that what I'm about to say is really him getting anything wrong. I think his heart is always in the right place. I just have a few qualms with it. Let me be clear. I don't really understand how Pirate Software got famous, and I don't really care for the dude anyway. I mean, his content is basically just say a random tidbit of information and tout it as like something you've discovered. Like he'd be like, you know, sometimes chocolate chip cookies are delicious and you can eat like one and that's good. But when you eat more than one, and you scarf down like 200, that's a bad thing. So enjoy things in moderation. Like realistically, that's like his entire MO is just to say something basic, unrelated to the coding stuff. I'm sure he's very smart when it comes to coding, but the regular stuff is just like basic information. And then he just touts it as like, I found this knowledge out, eat my entire ass. Like, all right, whatever, dude. Anyway, we're going to go through this Moist Critical video because every time I watch a Moist Critical video, when it comes to stuff like this, I don't understand where his point is and where he stands. After watching these the other day, I don't fully understand where he's coming from and what he wants, to be honest.
That has become a prevalent business strategy across the gaming industry. You will own nothing, you will be happy.
Now with this, I fully understand the sentiment. Like if you buy something, you want to keep it. Like that's fair.
If you know what the movement is and want to support it but didn't know where, the resources are in the description, or if you want to get it right from like the source, I have a link to his video.
Now, to start off here, Charlie does mention that if you know what it is, which means that presumably you've already done your own research because he didn't make a video on this before. So and he says, if you already know about this and you just didn't know where to support it, here's the link. Admirable. Fantastic. But later, when Pirate Software assumes what they're talking about, both Charlie and the founder tell us that that's not what SKG is all about. So what is it about? Now, obviously, we can go do our own research, but you're talking about him being an anti-voice for the community and actively trying to ruin it because it's fundamentally not what it's about, but you're not correcting him. Like, what is it? If that's what it isn't, then what is it?
I want to go into it myself here because it is a topic that I do feel very strongly about.
If it's a topic that you feel very strongly about, you would think that you would tell us what it is then, instead of just talking about what it isn't.
I'm going to let him explain it in his own words, so that way you can get an actual, correct, informed explanation of what the initiative is. And the reason I say it like that, kind of like fucking all, pinky out, snooty, is because a lot of people don't even really know what this is because of people like Pirate Software completely misrepresenting what the initiative was.
So on one hand, you say that you feel strongly about this, and objectively you have a bigger and wider reach than Pirate Software, but you say he's using his reach to undermine what the incentive is, and that may be true for sure. But your reach is larger, and you said that you've been following this for 10 months and you haven't spoke out about it, but you care about it so deeply. Why haven't you been talking about this? Like if Pirate Software is so against the movement, then why can't you be so for the movement with like 5 times his subscribers?
It's a consumer movement to stop publishers from effectively destroying video games they have already sold to customers.
I'll pause right there. The simplest bare bones birthday suit butt-ass naked explanation for what this is. Stop destroying things that people have paid money to own.
Right there, literally nobody disagrees with that. To a certain extent, there are ins and outs. Like just as bare bones, of course nobody disagrees with that. And this is a huge umbrella. Like obviously nobody wants their product destroyed. Like if I purchase something, I want to continue to be able to use it. But on the other hand, whenever Pirate Software mentions that live service games can shut down whenever they want and it's in the user agreement, blah, 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 you and SKG founder immediately go, that's not what we're talking about. Okay, then what are you talking about? Unless I'm completely misinformed, what games can they take away? He even mentions they're not taking away single player games. And then you say, that's not what we're talking about either. Then what are you talking about? If you're not talking about them shutting down live service games, because also after the live service game goes down, who is still playing it? Like, do you really want to play World of Warcraft solo? No. And if that's not what it's about, then what's the other option? What is there?
Ross is addressing the video pirate software made many months ago. Ross even says that he didn't plan on doing that because he didn't want to be seen as using this for drama farming, because it would start to make the movement look less of like a legitimate initiative and more of just like drama slop content type thing. But he finally starts talking about pirate software here. He's willing to do anything to try and set the record straight and hopefully start getting more momentum back to the movement, because the damage pirate software did to it through his video was substantial.
Yeah, and that's objectively, like, if he's got a movement that he feels strongly about, that he feels is the right thing to do, then of course pirate software, with his reach, undermining it and destroying this movement, then of course. But Charlie, you said you've been following it for so long. Can't you use your reach to kind of counteract the damage he's doing and tell us the truth?
Right as we were building momentum, signatures started drying up like clockwork. Thor does not understand what Stop Killing Games is. Here it is in his words.
So for those who don't understand, the Stop Killing Games initiatives is basically, we don't want single-player games.
No.
They need to be specific that they're talking about single-player games that do not need a server to support them.
No.
Instead of just targeting single-player, always online games.
No, that's not what it is. Stop Killing Games includes single-player games, but nothing about it is specific to them. He completely made that up, and I have no idea where he got that impression. It's the first line on the website. Stop Killing Games is a consumer movement started to challenge the legality of publishers destroying video games they have sold to customers. But the movement includes all this stuff from earlier, and he was mostly talking about the initiative.
He didn't even get the Cliff Notes summary right. He missed all the QTEs and got the bad ending on understanding the initiative from the jump here. Ross is correct. This has nothing to do with just single-player only games that require an online connection, that when the online connection is severed, you lose access to the game. Like, yeah, that is included in all of this, but that's not like what the whole movement is about. And for some reason, pirate software is stun-locked on that.
Am I crazy? Like, if that's not what it is, then what is it? Like, of course we don't want to lose our product, but then the first example that Thor mentions, you say that's not what it is.
Thor does not understand what Stop Killing Games is. No. That's not what it is. He completely made that up.
He didn't even get the Cliff Notes summary right. This has nothing to do with just single-player only games, but that's not like what the whole movement is about. That's just not what it's about.
But it's part of it.
Stop Killing Games includes single-player games.
Like, yeah, that is included in all of this.
So if it's part of it, then it kind of is what it is. It's not exclusive to that, but what else is it? Give us an example.
That's just not what it's about. Like, they're not being specific about that because that is not what they are specifically targeting. It is about the whole practice of destroying games that consumers have already purchased and having no end-of-life plans for games that are being sunset. So, for example, The Crew. The Crew is an example everyone is going to reference and talk about because Ubisoft is still currently in a lawsuit battling against it for what happened with this game. I've yapped about it quite a bit, so I'm not just going to regurgitate that. I'm sure a lot of you already know the story about it. But basically, you buy The Crew, Ubisoft pulls the plug on the servers, you can't play The Crew anymore, now it's just an old wet dream of what once was. And they are facing a lawsuit, and while this is in the umbrella of Stop Killing Games,
it sucks that something like this can happen. I genuinely don't even know what the hell this game is. I've never even heard of this. But if it's something where they unplug the servers and then you can't play it anymore, that is almost literally the example that Thor gave, that you said it's not that.
The short version is the initiative is about requiring publishers to have end-of-life plans for games they've sold to customers in the future. So when they shut them down, customers can continue running them without their support. So that's one thing Thor doesn't understand, but he also seems to think this is about converting multiplayer games to single player.
I think I just need an example of this because I don't understand what game would shut down that's not under this umbrella. Yeah, I guess I would need an example of this because genuinely that seems so vague and I don't know what game this applies to. Like, what game are they stealing from you? We're not getting any examples, so I can't follow up with this because all I have to go by are the examples that Thor is giving, which you keep saying that it is not what it's about, but then you don't give me the example of what it is about. But you also say that Thor is correct, that that's part of it, but that's not the entirety of it. So if that's true, what is the rest of it? What are the other examples? If he's kind of right, but mostly missing the point, then what is the point? You're not saying it.
But he also seems to think this is about converting multiplayer games to single player.
Transitioning an entire multiplayer server-side game into a single-player video game, which means rebalancing the entire experience around single player, rebuilding everything in the entire game. How are you going to do that with Final Fantasy XIV? You're just going to make all the raids soloable? Imagine the day that World of Warcraft shuts down, and suddenly you have to make it a single-player game for every individual that ever bought the game. That's what they're asking for.
No.
Maybe he's extrapolating based on the idea that if publishers have to have end-of-life plans for their games, that includes MMOs, where once the game is getting sunset, you're pulling the plug on it, you would then need to turn the game over to the community in a playable state, an accessible state, like give the code to them. Thus, it'd turn it into a single-player experience, so the onus would be on the developers to rebalance their game to be a single-player experience for them? I guess. I have no idea. That still just doesn't make any sense, but maybe that's the tree he's barking up with that thought process. I really don't know, because Stop Killing Games at no point ever says any of these multiplayer games need to be converted to single player. That really is outlandish.
It is outlandish, and that would be wild. That's kind of, I assume that that's kind of his point. Of course that's outlandish, because if you're saying you can't steal games from people and then the servers shut down, no one's going to continue to want to play that unless players make their own servers. But just because 4 people want to continue playing it doesn't mean that it has to be played, because 4 consumers still want to play the game. Like, if Rainbow Six Siege shut down today, I would love to continue playing it, but there's not going to be the same love that I have for it. Like, I like the matchmaking. I like playing against different people. I don't want to play against the same circle of 5 people who think that the game should continue to run just because they shut off the servers. Like, I'll wait for the next one, I guess. Like, and that's just a me thing for sure. But then what else is it?
Like, they wouldn't need to go back through with a whole development team and, like, tweak the game to be single-player compatible. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
No, absolutely. And they wouldn't do that. And who would do that? Why would? Yes, that is a silly assumption from Pirate Software, but I feel like it's kind of hyperbole and exaggeration.
But that's not what it's asking for.
Right. So what is it asking for? Yet again, you're mentioning what it's not, but what is it?
Always online single-player games.
Oh, he's so close. He's so close to getting it.
It is vague, and because of that, it will impact.
He never has that light bulb moment. Well, he is correct in that statement. It's almost as if that's not what the initiative is asking for.
I know this part is once again just reinforcing that he doesn't know what the Stop Killing Games movement is about, but I have to just show you this because it is so fascinating, because he himself literally calls out that Stop Killing Games at no point explicitly mentions single-player always-online games or anything like that. And for some reason, instead of following the breadcrumbs that would naturally lead him to the conclusion of, oh, maybe I misunderstood, maybe, because it's absent here, that's not what this is actually about. Instead, he uses it as a criticism against the Stop Killing Games initiative entirely, saying it's just too vague, it's way too vague. The reason it is not explicitly stated there is because that is not what the whole initiative is about. It is not specifically targeting that thing that you keep saying that it is.
Right, it's not specifically about that, and that's where his assumption just keeps going and goes too far. Of course, that's insane to think that that's the only thing, especially when he reads that it doesn't really explicitly say that, and he even mentions it himself but doesn't come to that conclusion. For sure, that's crazy, but you said that that's what that's a part of it, and it's not limited to that. We keep mentioning how wrong he is, but what is the correct path? You said at the beginning that you didn't want to farm it up for drama, or Ross didn't want to farm it up for drama. We're not even saying what the initiative is at this point. Maybe Ross does in his video, but Charlie, you have a larger reach, brother. What are we doing?
The clips that you saw moments ago were from his stream. Well, then he made the video where he still was talking about things that are just not what Stop Killing Games was about, and this was the one that really blew up and really started to kind of dismantle the Stop Killing Games momentum.
If we don't like the idea of live service games as a whole, I get it. Don't play live service games then. Don't agree to those terms.
No, he's getting a new thing wrong now. We're not against them existing, we're against them being destroyed with no recourse for the customer.
Am I crazy? Like, obviously, you want to play the game you paid for, and we're going around in circles, but like, yes, if you own a live service game and then they shut off the services, what do you want to continue playing anyway? Isn't the appeal of the live service game that it's partly live service, like you're being serviced, so you will continue to receive updates and you will continue to be able to play with your friends online, etc. What do you want out of that if that shuts down? If they stop giving the live service updates, it is no longer the live service game you signed up for. What are we talking about? Like, of course, I don't want to lose my money. If I paid $100 or whatever for Destiny and then Destiny just shuts down, of course that's deeply saddening, but like, what am I missing? That's like the thing you kind of sign up for. Like, yeah, I mean, who's going to continue to play Destiny if it's not being updated?
Our problem is not with licenses failing to inform people. Blizzard says they can take away your purchase for no reason. That sounds pretty clear to me. Problem is those terms are so hostile to consumers and the medium that they should be taken off the table entirely. This needs regulation.
Okay, now this part is insane. Period. Full stop. Having in the agreement that they can just take away your game at any time for any reason is insane. I will fully agree with that. To be honest, I agree with the whole thing of the whole motion of stop killing games as far as I know it. But I'm just confused at the side of like, we're disagreeing with Pirate Software, even though we say there's a little bit of what he's saying that's part of it. But then then there's more to it than that, but we never say what the more to it is. And if this is part of the more to it, the Blizzard reserves the right to terminate this agreement at any time for any reason or for no reason, with or without notice to you. Like, they can do it for no reason and not tell you. That is insane. If that's part of the movement, then I don't think anyone would disagree with that, right? Obviously, Pirate Software is harking on one specific spot of this, and that's crazy. In this video, you keep saying, that's not what it is. Well, it's kind of what it is, but it's not what it is.
He didn't even get the Cliff Notes summary right. This has nothing to do with, but that's not like what the whole movement is about, but that's not what it's asking for. That he doesn't know what the Stop Killing Games movement is about. That's not what this is actually about. That is not what the whole initiative is about. Not what Stop Killing Games was about.
And then you never say what it is.
Again, to go back to Concord, that shit lasted less than a fucking rainstorm.
Okay, that's not really a fair take because everyone who bought Concord ended up getting a refund once the game went offline. It's not really the same thing because what we're talking about is you paying for a service and then not receiving that service. They took it down and then gave you your money back. That's just a refund. That's not the same thing. Kind of disingenuous to mention that at all. By the way, click right here to watch my video about why games are failing. I go in depth about why Concord failed and why other games fail and the kind of ecosystem that's breeding with the gaming culture right now. So yeah, check that out if you're interested.
I don't know why Pirate Software would be so harsh on Stop Killing Games for not addressing specific things that he himself is bringing up or making up in regards to it. It just doesn't compute. It really is a video that did significant damage to an actually positive initiative that aimed to help consumers in the video game space.
If he's actively damaging a movement that he doesn't understand, then obviously that's terrible. But Charlie, we can counteract that, right? Like, you have a bigger reach. You just said that you've spent 10 months away from this. I've never even heard about this movement, and I'm all for it. As much as I've said in this video about how it doesn't make sense to me, I want it to make more sense. I don't fully agree with Pirate Software, especially when he kind of like harks on one thing and just sticks to that, and that's his whole truth, and it's obviously wrong considering what you and Ross are saying. But at the same time, I want to know more about it. So why don't you make a video about it? You said you've known this for 10 months and you fully support it. And I watch your content quite regularly. Give us more about it. Paint it in a better light than what Pirate Software painted. If he's actively out to destroy this movement and you feel so strongly about it, then lift it up. Talk about it. Let's get it going.
Because this is something a lot of people also think the Stop Killing Games initiative is about, where developers, publishers will have to support their games forever. Like, until the fucking heat death of the universe, they'll have to support these games under the initiative. When that is not the case. It is very simply asking that when the game has reached the end of its life cycle, the publishers, developers don't want to work on it any longer, to turn it over to the community to still be in a playable, accessible state so the product can still exist. There is some more nuance, obviously, to how that works, given like publisher developer licensing and a lot of like the code, the binary, that kind of thing. There is a lot at play under the hood there, of course, but it is something that Stop Killing Games isn't naive to, and it is something that is talked about. But I'm not going to dive too deep into it. I encourage you to check more in on it.
I am a little confused at this because what we just saw was that it's not going to be giving up the source code and not going to give up intellectual property, but we also are privy to that being the case if you hand it over to the consumers. Clear up this confusion. Charlie, you have all the means to make this better than what Pirate Software has completely apparently destroyed. So if he's destroying it, you can lift it up. You can teach us. Let's start over from fresh. If Pirate Software is getting more views and more clicks and he's wrong about it, then why don't you work with Ross and be right about it and post it on your channel? Like, it sounds like Ross's heart is in the right place, and I know from most of the videos that I watch of you that your heart is in the right place too.
I haven't been online as much. I've been going outside far more frequently, spending time in the real world. And as such, I'm sure many of you have noticed over the last 10 or 11 months, internet drama hasn't been a huge focal point of the channel because I haven't seen a whole bunch of it.
This dude makes a living being online, and he is chronically online. Come on, man. What are you saying? You make like 3 videos a day covering all kinds of viral videos and stuff. Like, what? Come on.
That entire community is so butt mad at me for putting out a video 10 months ago about their stuff and then not being refuted, and now it's my fault that everything is going wrong for them.
I cannot believe his ego. His ego is so out of control, I feel like he's only a week or two away from exclusively referring to himself in third person.
No, fully agree. I'm pretty sure there's not a soul alive except for maybe some of his, like, exclusive followers that don't realize that this dude has an ego. Like, we all know he's got an ego. Like, we're talking about not being in drama, etc. You're directly involving yourself in it. Just ignore this dude. Like, let dude just keep doubling down on it. Like, tell us what it is in a positive light with your following. It's bigger than his.
There is no one out there that is saying it is entirely Pirate Software's fault that Stop Killing Games hasn't been more successful in its endeavors. But there's irrefutable evidence that you had a detrimental effect, a majorly damaging effect on Stop Killing Games because of your misinformation that you spread about it.
Like, for sure, it's definitely, like, you're not saying it's all him and he's, you know, getting defensive, but, like, you are saying he's a major part of it. Like, what's the difference? Like, we're splitting hairs here.
Any level of fault, that he was wrong about anything. And that couldn't be more clear from these clips.
I mean, he was definitely wrong about some of it, but everything that you guys said he was wrong about, you said he was right about it a little bit, and that it was just there was more to it. Like, he was kind of right, and then there was extra stuff. So if there's extra stuff, but he wasn't wrong about it, then he wasn't. I'm so confused.
Not only do I not want to back this, I'm going to actively tell people not to.
All right. I mean, this is just asshole behavior. Of course, first interaction with dude, this is actually awful. Like, this is something we can judge him on. But every time that he's pointed out anything that the movement might be about, you've said that he's wrong, and then immediately went back and said, well, he's kind of right, but he's missing the entirety. It's like, well, what is it? But this is inexcusable. This is crazy.
Horrible goddamn direction. That's awful, dude. No, eat my entire ass.
All right, there it is. The eat my entire ass. That is peak comedy for 12-year-olds.
And by the way, Ross never even addressed this for 10 months because he didn't want to dilute the initiative into just having it be boiled down to drama between creators, which I think was actually very big of him.
It is big of him, but at the same time, if someone is getting your movement wrong and they're actively spreading misinformation, you should try to want to have a conversation with them instead of just ignoring them and then 10 months later being like, he ruined my movement. Like, have a conversation with him. If you think he's vehemently wrong about everything that you're saying, have a conversation with the guy. Like, you guys are big creators. I'm sure you guys can get in a Discord call and talk about this. Like, there's no way this couldn't be discussed and clear up any of the misunderstandings. Because clearly, what on your guys' end, or at least on Ross's end, he's saying that it's one huge misunderstanding. So help him understand it. Like, if he's not getting there and he's doubling down on it, then that's on him, and people will see those clips. People will see you express that to him. But if you're just going to let him say what he wants 10 months ago and then you don't say anything for 10 months, of course we only got his side of the story. So yeah, you can stay out of the drama or whatever, but like, you're not addressing anything that he's incorrectly said for 10 months because you want to stay out of the drama. Like, maybe defend your movement a little bit. Yeah, it's big of you to ignore it, but then you can't complain 10 months later that he ruined your movement.
And I didn't reach out to try and champion that Pirate Software should become, you know, a huge ambassador of Stop Killing Games, you know, out there on the fucking front lines fighting for it.
No, but if you support it so hard, you can be. If you are all about it, then you can do that. That's what I'm saying. And if he's wrong about it and disagrees with it, you just said that that's okay. Because everything that you said he's wrong about, you said he's actually right about, kinda. Like, what?
It was simply about the misunderstanding that he showcased, maybe unintentionally, and the misrepresentation of it that he broadcast. Again, maybe unintentionally.
Wait, so now it's unintentionally. 10 months ago, he misrepresented it, and now it's realized that it was unintentional. So 10 months ago, he sabotaged the movement, but it was unintentional. But it took Ross 10 months to mention it, even though he was being the bigger person, but it was a misrepresentation and a misunderstanding of what it was. So we should have probably had the discussion before now, but now we waited 10 months, and then we blamed him for it, and now we're saying that he didn't do it on purpose. What?
He kind of treats as though they're fucking idiots, like me, for thinking that he's misrepresented something.
I genuinely don't think that you're an idiot or anything. I think Charlie and Ross have their hearts in the right place. If anything, I think Pirate Software most of the time is a grifter. Like I said before, touting off basic, simple knowledge that everybody knows, regurgitating it to his audience, and just drawing something in paint about it, and then being like, I thought of that. You guys didn't think of that? I thought of that. I'm so smart. But like, I like when people's hearts are in the right place, and I feel like Ross and Charlie's are. I just think that all of this could have been handled way better.
I still think overall Stop Killing Games is a net positive for the gaming industry, where something desperately needs to change with a lot of these awful practices. But for the 10 millionth time in the last 2.5 hours, it was just about him having this awareness that his coverage did mislead people, and that he, maybe not maliciously or anything, misunderstood or misrepresented Stop Killing Games.
Then maybe say something 10 months ago. You're saying Ross was the bigger person by not saying anything, but now you're saying, like, we let people be misled for 10 months? Maybe we get on a call with him and talk to him immediately. Because if he's misrepresenting your entire movement and he's undermining it and hurting it, causing real harm to mislead people, whether it's intentional or whether it's not, maybe waiting 10 months after the fact is not the move.
The way that he talked about Ross was unacceptable. That at least made it into the tweet there. He at least recognized that that was too harsh. So he gave a quick I'm sorry for that, which is good. I do appreciate that, and I'm sure Ross will appreciate that as well, I imagine.
And that's the exact reason why Ross should have reached out in the first place instead of being the bigger person or very big of him, because have a real conversation with people, because then they're not going to talk the same way about your movement or about you the same way they would if they're actually talking to you. He's a content creator. He's just speaking, like, it's almost like you guys don't even exist to him whenever he's going through those motions. And whether that's right or wrong, that's just how people are. And so whenever you actually boil it down and have a conversation, he can probably back up and apologize and talk. And then maybe he can be course corrected to what the movement is actually about.
And he needs to recognize that it's okay to be like, yeah, I did do that wrong. You're right, I was incorrect in this. And it would save so much of a headache. But he just comes across as a narcissist. He really does, unfortunately.
Oh, you mean the guy that sold us the basic information of like, hey, if you have a mobile game ad, nobody likes this. And also, I don't support you if you have ads all over the place. Like, those basic concepts that everyone, like, oh, you hate ads? Oh, you're so brave, right? Like that guy that sold those basic concepts to us in order to make a huge following, that guy's narcissistic? Oh, thanks for that one.
Maybe this is the beginning of a big character development for Pirate Software. He did apologize to Ross for how he treated him and what he said about him. I think that's great.
Yes, me too. And that's what I'm saying. If they could just have a conversation and not wait 10 months to tell him that they were misled and ruined it and blah, blah, blah. Like, why can't we just Get them together in a Discord call, and Ross can explain what he actually means instead of waiting 10 months to stay out of the drama. All right, that's it. I mean, that's all that Charlie has, and I keep wanting to do these. I've made other videos in the past. Be sure to check them out. That's all I have. Every time I see Charlie upload a video, I know his heart is always in the right place, and this one I just really wanted to weigh in on. That's it. I'm HP. See you guys later.